The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody has had a good trading day today, if anyone has traded. I wouldn't mind if everybody just gives me, or some of you just give me a heads up that the recording is working okay. Some of you might have noticed the system just dropped off all of a sudden, and unfortunately restarted again. I just couldn't work out why it did that. So it'd be nice to know that you guys are able to hear the audio is my concern more than anything else. If someone just put their hands up, would be fantastic. Thank you. Fantastic. Thanks so much. Great. Okay, let's continue on. Okay, it's been an interesting roller coaster period that we had, haven't we, at the moment in the past 2 weeks? Again, I'll just want to remind everybody this is general investment advice, not personal advice. As the disclaimer, everybody can read the disclaimer. I am licensed under Mortgage in General, but general investment advice only. Okay, I'm going to switch over to the actual program now. Just one moment. Okay. Now, normally I would have my actual laptop here, and I can see when things switch over. And, you know, like when I'm switching between charts, I can actually see it's just switched over. Therefore, I'm confident it's switching over roughly around the same time on your screens. The issue that I've got, all of a sudden, Microsoft, I just left the damn machine just for about 2 minutes, and blasted Microsoft decided to do an update on my laptop, and I thought I had the damn thing switched off. And unfortunately, I can't see when I switch over things. So I'm going to probably have to go just a touch slower just to make sure these things are happening. So apologize, but bloody Microsoft. Anyway, let's start off with the monthly chart again on the Dow. Now, as we can see with the Dow again, it's in a huge rising wedge. It actually... I'll just expand it just a little bit more, magnify that actually. And I said last fortnight I was going to use the new program to do all this, and something that I was doing, I wasn't able to copy all my data across, so I gave it a miss again today. I will do it, however, the following fortnight, and I will be utilizing the new program in all this. So that way, at least people get to know how it's utilized more efficiently. Now, as we can see with the rising wedge, it actually pretty much is on the line here. I mean, a touch below a bit can't do much, only because you can see on this candlestick just here that I'm pointing at, you can probably see the tail just a fraction a bit below it anyway. Okay, so I would say it sort of went on the following open below on the month. It's actually on the line at the moment. So the thing with the Dow, as we'll start looking at the weekly also, it really is sideways. I keep saying that. The only time you're going to be confident that this has broken totally out, it's going to go, say, on the downside or the upside, really when it clears its consolidation phase. Anything else is just really a hiccup in between. And I've lost confidence of trying to put reliance on that till it actually gets out of that space. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll just switch over to the weekly. Now, as I'm switching over, mine's already switched over. I'm betting not everybody else's has yet, so I'll just give it a couple of more moments. Okay, because unfortunately I can't see if it has on everybody else's at the moment. As we can see this weekly chart, look, we had a consolidation on the top, the straight line, going across with this blue one. We can see it's an ascending triangle, but look, what's happened? It's broken below, and really all it's doing is just going sideways. So really, now this line, it really, really is obsolete, okay? That's where we are. You can see this consolidation phase, and in fact, if we measure, it really started, say, from up here, and we go all the way to the current week, and you can see it's 21-week consolidation, 21 weeks. All right. So we really can't say you know, when is this going to break up or it's going to break down? Look, it made an attempt, you know, counting this week as a third week. You can see on this bar here 3 weeks ago, it made an attempt to break below it and then closed above it. Remember, it's got to close below the situation. Now, because this is going a bit lower, we can lower this line a bit more. All right, so we go like so. So it really has got to close below there before I'd have any confidence in this for it to go down. Or for that matter, it's got to close above the top line before I have any confidence of this doing anymore. Now, if you're an options trader, fantastic. You know, basically you grant on either side of those lines, and if it stays in between, you collect all the premium. But as we can say, this is a sideward moving index, and obviously all the stocks that go with this index, they probably look fairly similar. All right, there's only 30 stocks in the Dow anyway. Okay, so that's weekly. No change. We're only going to have confidence when it actually breaks below, okay, and closes below. We look at the daily now. Just everybody switch over. Now, as we can see from the daily, we originally, remember what we said, if it's going to fail, it's going to fail in this area here. And sure enough, there's your consolidation, and pretty much went down, even though it closed there for the day. Following day, you can see it's struggling up. The day after that, it's all up. Obviously, once you see this, you really got to say, you know, no way. If you're in a small loss, just take the damn thing and move on. Okay, so this is a failed flag. Excuse me. So remove that. Again, what do we see so far? Okay, this line, I suppose it can be used for continuation of resistance if it goes higher. But what we do have is this. There's your high. These are your lows. Okay, this one is your lower high. This is a lower low. So far, this is lower than that. So far, it is a lower low. Okay, so again, possibility might go lower, but you know, I wouldn't put my money on it at the moment. I would literally stay out of this. You can see this is going absolutely nowhere. Now, the only way this would be really tradable is on an intraday basis, not a daily basis. Okay, now I'll go to the S&P 500. Okay, now we really shouldn't expect much more than that. Let's go to the monthly, and what we see on the monthly chart is basically the rising wedge, you know, is containing the data inside it, and you can see it's pretty clean. So again, it's a rising wedge. In this case, for the S&P, it really hasn't broken out of it at all. Okay, so it's still inside the rising wedge of the S&P 500. So the monthly really says hasn't broken down yet. If we go to the weekly, this is a cut down version, a tighter rising wedge. We can see it's broken through, but again, if we start looking as we looked at the Dow, what do we got? Is really a huge consolidation phase in this area here. You really, you know, need to finesse the lines a little bit, make them a bit more tighter. So in other words, a little bit higher, because we can see that's been here and that's about there. And the bottom one, maybe a touch lower. Okay, you can see that's the consolidation. Again, the only way I would have confidence, it closes above or below. Then I would say it clearly has broken out, because there's so much indecision here, it's just, you know, not funny. I would, again, leave this one alone. Daily, really, it should be no different to what we saw prior to it on the Dow. If we just extend the line a little bit here, maybe, and we've got to lower it a little bit. Actually, I better cut it first. Might actually help. And we go down this way. Well, it really, again, doesn't give us much at all. As you can see, it's just touching there. If let's cut it and back up. No, it's pretty messy. Consolidation phase. Leave it alone. In fact, just delete that line altogether. It's not very clean. It sort of broke below, went back above. Again, failed flag. So it's irrelevant now, this flag. Even this line's really irrelevant there. That's what you really got right now, is this consolidation phase going nowhere. So pretty much mirroring the Dow. Okay. Yeah, mirroring the Dow. Pretty close to mirroring the Dow anyway. Okay, now I was asked to actually do also the Chinese index. There's two of them that we normally look at. If we're going to look at that, is basically the SSEA and the SSEB, which the B, I believe, is the Shanghai. Now, going to a monthly is your monthly chart. That's all the data actually there is, as far as I know, I've been told. And actually, go back a bit more. Yeah, that fits fine. It's not the best triangle. Why? Because if we have a look at it, the data sits more in the center and above, right, where it's not evenly distributed. Yes, this is a good downtrend there. Yes, this is a consolidation, but it really, all it is in this area here. The rest is, so I can target out of it, but even though it might work out, I wouldn't put all the reliance on it. There's your target on it. So it has hit the target, and of course we had a lot of scare. I think from memory, if we have a look, the top was 5416, and in a very short time it went to 355 from 5400 to almost 3400. It fell almost 2,000 points in a very, very short space. It looks like at the moment the Chinese are controlling it, managing. Let's use the word managing its decline. If we have a look at the weekly chart, in fact, on the weekly chart, we can see here is a pennant. Okay, and the target out of a pennant is at the bottom of its pole to the top to its breakout point, and that's its target. Not bad, is it? Let's just clear that out. What's the story now is the question, isn't it? If this is a bearish flag, it's not a very clean one, by the way. Clone. It's not the cleanest if it is, so we need to see what it's going to do. Is this going to go higher or is it going to go lower? Let's zoom down to the daily, because you really can't get any more on this than what we've got. As you can see here, it really did tell us it was a reversal, basically head and shoulders or symmetrical triangle either way, and out of that, the main target was, that would have been its target initially. We go to the daily. It actually, if we on the right hand side of the screen right here, we have a bullish flag. Where's my clone tool? Oh, geez, over there. I need glasses. And I'm wearing glasses. Okay, so that's a bullish flag. That's telling us at the moment that this has got a target of around 4652 to 4781. I would say that would be its forecast. Does this have anything from down here? It didn't hit its low. So about from here. This is also what we call a broadening formation. Generally speaking, with a broadening formation, unless it picks up for whatever reason, if it hits this target, I would not be surprised if it actually comes back down here. Time will tell, but normally, folks, I'd watch this if you are trading this. I'd watch it. If it gets to these levels, I'd be watching it very, very carefully if it tries to reverse. Okay, now let's go to their B, which is the Shanghai. Really, I would expect almost a mirror image of what we're looking at the other one anyway. Not quite, but close to a mirror image. Okay, oops, let's go to the monthly first. Oh, that's interesting. We probably more conservative there and there, which is basically a descending triangle that broke on the upside. Target-wise, has it met its target, I guess, is the question. So it went past its target by looking at that. I'll just remove that. There really isn't any more on the monthly. Let's go to the weekly now. We had a gap here. It certainly closed the gap, so it's fulfilled its obligation. It's within its accelerated trend, but as we can see, this is broken very aggressively to the upside. Let's go to daily, I think. Actually looks nothing like it. I thought it'd be mirroring the other one, but what it does have is a pennant. It has broken on the upside, and the target is from the bottom to the highest body to its breakout point. And again, from that perspective, it is now mirroring the SSEA. Now, remember, if it's going to fail, this is where it's going to fail. Can you see where my line goes right across? That's the failure point, and it actually closed this particular gap to the upside because that closed it down. This is the gap it's still left here. There's left a gap, went down and closed it. That's to the upside. I apologize. This here has got nothing to do with this side. My apologies there. And this is now, I would say, heading for this, but I'd feel more comfortable as it moves past this point first. Now, there's nothing in here that suggests exactly the same as the SSEA as a broadening. Actually, just double check that, actually. Just double check that. No, it doesn't. No. Although this has got sort of as we can see here, normally you try to get a broadening formation going. Let me just squash it up. Maybe there's something I've missed. No, I've missed nothing there. I was trying to get that broadening formation, but as we can see, the price went below and then back above. So actually, let's have a look at the weekly. Be safe than sorry. Back to the weekly again. But the daily's got an up move. Oh, nah, it doesn't look right, to be honest. It does not look right. Can't do that. That's the best we can do, actually. We can say there's an up target on this. That's where it is. It's supported here on the weekly. On the monthly, we can see it came down to the trend line, came within, was it 276 to 265, within 11 or so points, and then just shot back up again off the secondary trend line. The main trend line is a bit further down. All right, that's probably another, that's 263. If it went down to 263, 50 points lower than the previous one. So to go to the main trend line. That's pretty much what that is. I'll just go to gold. Again, gold hasn't really, I mean, yeah, it's been a little bit of fluctuation, but XAU equals, but it really hasn't done a huge amount from that point of view. It actually, oh, geez, I'll take all those words back. I didn't even bother to check it. Remember we said that this could be a mare's tail, or it could be on the upside. We didn't know what it was going to do. Well, I should have been watching the damn thing, you know, telling everybody else, and I didn't bloody watch it. My apologies. Well, guess what? We're talking about the mare's tail. Here's your mare's tail. Okay, it took how many weeks to finally break through? We've been talking it for the past 3.5, 4 months. Now, let's go to the monthly first. Look, here's your mare's tail accelerated down, and it's not over yet. It can technically go all the way down to 919 to 972. This is monthly, so we really need to see the month close below this line here to give us that extra confident, okay? Because we didn't know, because of this broad information and then the mare's tail and the trend. We had all these things going at the same time. Which way was going to break? We put two targets, one up, one down. Well, at the moment, it's all pointing to the down. Now, let's give it a bit of a closer look. On the weekly, here we are here. We said, as this broke below, now I'll try to redraw it and I'll make it a bit bigger so we can see it a bit better here. Excuse me. So I can apologize for that. We can see the mare's tail. Okay. And accelerating to the downside, okay? And just draw it again from this side. This is, remember, this is on the monthly, and I'm just doing it on the weekly also now. Okay, you can see that's your mare's tail going from here. Okay, your mare's tail. Now, in fact, it can even come all the way from here. Okay, so let's go to the daily now. And as a target, we said this would have been the brick wall. We had to watch it. And as a target, we can target all the way down as we did before. Now, of the monthly, we said it's got, can go down to 919 to 972. Again, here, let's look at it on the daily, a bit more closer, and I'll target it off the daily for you. Now, again, you can see how it goes and accelerates down again from here. And down she goes. The daily mare's tail basically goes from there to its breakout point. And there she goes. We're nearly there now. Okay? Remember, the monthly one is a bigger one, but it has to close below that. Okay? Has to go below that. So it's got to close below this. When I say that, if we have a look on the monthly, we can see the line here, the support line. As it's currently below it, as long as it stays below it and closes below it, then it's got a high probability of getting to these levels down here. Okay, and then we can delete this after that. If we look at it more closely on the weekly, here it is here. Again, we can take it like that. We can take it from the top. And if you take it from the top as a weekly, assuming it's going to stay below and close below tomorrow there, you'll be going from here to there to its accelerating breaking point. And where are we down here? Where is it? it's the top is 1,000, the bottom is 986 on the weekly. And of course, if it's 986, then we've got the monthly a lower than that, isn't it? Okay, so that's pretty much the mare's tail on gold. Downtrend. Gee, this is taking a little bit of time actually, folks. Where are we? Oh, we're still all right, plenty of time. Okay, again, we seem to be asked the same questions all the time. Can we do the banks, please? So, and that comes with quite a few people asking for the banks. Okay, let's look at ANZ first. Now, monthly on ANZ, as we can see, this rising wedge, we can see it actually broke below it, okay? It's broken below it. We did say on the daily, I expected it to go high to close the gap, but we'll look at the daily for that. At the moment, we can see it's retesting the bottom of the line, which makes it bearish. Now, this month hasn't got long to go, so we watch the next month. What you might find, this might be a bearish flag to a lower target. So we'll start looking obviously at the weekly and the daily, but if that happens, you can see the potential move down would be, like, I'll just do it as a rough, just as a guide, but then I'll delete it. If this then eventually goes down, you might see it down to around, 26.5 to 27, low $27. Okay, so that's why I think from memory in the last webinar, I said if you get an opportunity to sell ANZ, if you're already long, as it gets close to closing the gap or closing the gap, personally, I wouldn't be there. Again, not personal advice, please. Okay, not personal advice. I don't know your personal circumstance. That's just me as a trader, as an opportunity. That's what I'd be looking at. When we look at the weekly, now, we can see that, look, originally I left this line there because it's also resistance. It's right in this little triangle, which makes it extremely difficult in here. If it actually does break this and go a little bit higher, and then come like it did here how many weeks ago around these areas, right? If it does, you know what we've got here potentially? I don't know if anyone can see this, but if that sticks around a bit longer and goes more this way and a bit higher, what potentially we got is a head and shoulder, potentially a head and shoulder. Okay, I'm not saying at the moment it is, but potentially, because what you'll have is shoulder, even if it's up here, I'll just put it anywhere up here, shoulder, and potentially shoulder here, and of course you got your head up here. Okay, that's what we're talking about. What I'm going to do is, since this trend line's there now, I'm going to remove this line here. Okay, so since it's all there, that's what I'm going to remove. So you need to be very, very cautious. Look, I was doing some other analysis. I've come up some of the stuff that I was doing in the past, some other methods. And mind you, the study was all on ANZ that I was doing, testing this stuff. So it gave us a target of around, $38 to $39 as a major top target on ANZ. So I'll go now to the daily, and just to confirm something. You can see on the daily, and the top of the price is in here, $37. Okay, now the only thing that I'm seeing potentially this can still go up higher is this gap here. So what I'm trying to be positive about, and what I'd like to do is this, and potentially at the moment is that. Okay, and that, I don't know if anyone's familiar with what I'm doing here. This is called a little diamond. Okay, now if this breaks, I don't know which way it's going to break. If it breaks to the down, then we're going to start seeing more down, but I'll do two targets here, from here to the top to this I'm only estimating a breakout, which is there, which I would say if it does, it'll be to that point. And on the downside, it's down to around $30, okay? So I'll put two potential trades right now. Because it's left a gap up there, it's not a big gap, but still a gap, they tend to close them first. I don't know why. They tend to close them. Are they going to do it straight away? I'm not sure, but they tend to close them. But I think if it does get to there, I think it'll have a very good right shoulder and a very good head and shoulders. Then we'll start looking to down prices. So that's how I would treat ANZ. Personally, it'd be nice if anyone's in there, you weren't in there and just waiting for the opportunity to take advantage of a downturn. That's the way I would personally would be treating it. Next one, CBA. We'll have a look. Okay. Monthly again. Again, what we see here is what we've done is a parallel trend, more of a sandwich than anything else. So this is your actual trend. It is on trend, okay? It's not a rising wedge. Originally, we would try to get it in, that's what the dotted lines or the dotted line or dash line is all about. It wasn't the best. I mean, I guess you can probably still treat it as sort of like a rising wedge, but not quite, not a very clean one. And what we do is if we take this trend line, copy it, and then put it in between, we create what we call a sandwich, okay? That means it's stuck in this parameter. But again, this has got 1, 2, this is so close, it's considered 3, 4, 5 touches. Now, when you get 3, nice, 4, fantastic, this is really good. You know, this is beyond fantastic. In other words, if this breaks and closes to the downside, so if whatever candle occurs here closes below there, it's pretty much saying, you know what, the uptrend is really over. That's the way you'd be treating it. The uptrend is really over, okay? So it's really time to watch seriously. You don't know if this is making a bearish flag here. It could start looking like a bearish flag. Let's go to the weekly. Okay, this is the weekly. Again, this had a little bullish flag. This is a potential target. However, you see this red line goes right across. You would only trade it to that. Now, if it actually, even where it is now, if this actually holds the price and holds it quite well and stays there for a little while, I would be drawing a line like this. Do you know what we have again, folks? This is what we have again. On this side, it's called a shoulder. On here, we have a head. And this is, the thing is here, I won't write the word yet, shoulder, right shoulder, because we don't know yet. As it goes down and getting ready to break, I would say, yep, that's a shoulder. But potentially, this is a head and shoulder. If it breaks to the downside, and this is only an estimate, and I'll do it, and I'll remove from here after that the target because it's only an estimate. It's to there, and potentially if it breaks, and let's say somewhere around here, you're looking a fall down to $64.50 to $65. Okay? Even if this price go up towards this top line and then it doesn't matter. We're still looking of a drop to around there. Now that is a sizable drop. Okay, that is a sizable drop. So you really, really need to be very, very careful. And if I remember correctly, I think there might have been a gap that it's got to close on this one. Let's have a look at the daily. And here we are. There were two gaps. It closed this. All right, there it is. It closed it. We have another gap here. And look, it fell down and it's got another gap here. That means it's going to, in fact, see, it went up, close this gap on the downside. Now I'm betting it will run up to here. Look, if I had to be a betting man, I would say it's got a 7 to 8 out of 10 chance to close that gap. Okay, that's the upper gap. Okay, so I believe it's going to go up there to close that gap. And then I believe it's a down move after that. And we have our head and shoulders. So something is lining up for a fall. That's the way it's turning out, folks. So watch it very carefully. Showing its colors at the moment. NAB. Excuse me. Also, I think the next webinar, I might actually do it also on a Wednesday rather than a Thursday. I will get back to Thursdays again. Something's propped up at the moment. And I'm actually in the process of selling this home that I'm in at the moment. And they had to photograph it and other things again today. And they talking about getting people to view it on a Thursday. So it's going to be a bit awkward for me to run a webinar on a Thursday if that happens. So I'll be safe, for safety reasons, I probably will do the next one on a Wednesday, and we can go from there. Now, again, looking at this monthly. Now, you can call it a rising wedge, not very clean, really, when you look at it. I mean, we can lower this and just to, on the green one here, say it's on the green, you can see it's at the top. You know, it's okay, but I got a feeling here, this bit here, is slowly getting to be maybe a bearish flag or a pennant, probably a flag, I would say. Okay, if I clone that line, like so. So if it goes to a flag, this target's going to be below that. Obviously, if you get in early enough and you're down to here, you might want to hold it and see it till it breaks. If it starts to go up, you can always close it at a small profit if that happens. So again, the way this is lining up, it's lining up for a downturn. Again, rising wedges are usually at top of markets. Okay, they're all usually at top of markets. Let's go to the monthly. Oh, sorry, weekly. And again, how does the weekly look like? There we are. We did a bullish flag to the upside. Okay. Now remember we said there's a bearish flag on the monthly. Well, you know what? If this can go a bit higher and higher, it still confirms that monthly flag. However, also, if it does and then starts to turn around, what have we got again? I know this is, again, a large horn, which is basically a top of a market anyway. In fact, how does this whole thing look on a monthly? Just have a look at it again. Again, there it is there. What a large horn. So again, horns are top of market, rising wedges are top of markets. And of course, looking at this weekly, what sticks out like dog's breakfast? Another head and shoulder. Okay, so in here it can be your left shoulder, your head, and right shoulder potentially forming. Okay, so then you'll have a huge down target if that happens, because I'll do the target and I'll delete it. Down to $25, $26 drop. Now, obviously, I'll be looking at it, this main trend line, before I get to that, but it's telling us lower prices to come. Remember, we hit the upper target already. Okay, so it's already been hit. I'll get the eraser just to remove that. So again, NAB's telling us we hit the top of the market. Yes, there might be a little bit upside. Maybe there's a gap to fill. Let's have a look. Yes. Okay, where there's a gap to fill. And again, out of this here, this might be a bullish flag on the daily. My clone tool, I'll be using the other new program, playing around with it, and some of the tools are in different areas, and You sort of go between them, you forget which one's which in a different area. So targeting this potential flag, see, it brings it up right on closing the gap. So it would be nice if it actually just goes there, closes the gap, and then we can say close our positions and look for opportunities to the downside. But primarily that's what it is. Okay, that's your daily. So I still stand closing the gap, but you need to be careful. We are in a lot of top formation patterns. Okay, top formation patterns. Westpat. Now again, rising wedge, already broken below it, retesting it, and you know what? This could be a bearish flag, basically, developing. Just fix that up a little bit. Come on, wrong one. You piece of rubbish. Got to do it again. Sorry, folks. Just draw that line again. And look, what I'll do, because this other big blue line's below it, I'll just leave that as part of that, like a clone. You can see potential flag there. All right. So again, because of that, there's a potential flag. If this goes to the downside, again, there's your bearish flag. Just keeping in mind that this probably has also gap to close, no doubt, like the others do. It can go higher and there'll still be a bearish flag. You can go even up to this levels up here, which is at the moment 35.68 and currently sitting at 34. So you can technically 34.60, 35. You can almost go $1 up higher on a weekly basis when we look at the weekly and still be fine. Okay, because remember that is a monthly. And we did this target to close that gap. Here we are. Out of this bullish flag, there's your target. It's still within the target, still going up. So again, what does this look like? If you draw a line from here, it's got this dotted line, shoulder, head, shoulder again. So we really are at the top, just a gap to close there. There's nothing really to add to this. Again, broadening formation. Not broadening formation. The horn is there. Okay, there's your horn. And if we extend this line here, no, it won't do anything. Actually, I thought it might have come down low. I'll just delete that now. It's not even necessary anymore then. Okay. I thought I raised it. Okay, that's basically it there. There's nothing else I can really add to that. That's above it, so that's not needed anymore. That's it. Really, there's your horn, potential head and shoulder. It's all there. And if you look at the daily, the same thing. Look, here they are here. There's your potential targets to close all those gaps. And guess what? Right at the end of the daily, I honestly believe this thing here is going to make a bullish flag. Even off that. Okay. And targeting. That's this one. There it is there. Yep, all the way in the target. So it's showing higher prices as a bullish as long as this is a bullish flag. So as long as it breaks to the upside, like I've been saying, I'd get that gap, I'll get the hell out of there. I wouldn't think twice about it. Okay, your target originally was at 39, potentially up to 41, but all these targets have been hit, as you can see. They've all been hit. And that's Westpac. Now, I've been asked for WPL, Woodside Petroleum. Monthly. Okay. You can see a bearish flag been forming there. Target to the downside. I don't know. Better do one for you. That's its target. Remember, that's at 29.65. This purple line is a major brick wall. Then you'll be looking at 26. It's got to go below that. Okay. So if it struggles there, I'd probably get the heck out of there. When we start looking at what have we got here, you know, I wonder if this can actually make a mare's tail. Not quite the formation yet, but have a look here. If we start, this is when, say, it stepped from here, from this bearish pennant flag. So you've got your high, your lower high, and then lower high there. And it's actually maintained it. Now, because of the previous lower high, you can actually do this. Potentially. I'm not saying it is yet, but it looks like it could be in its formation stages. Okay? If that happens, I'm confident it will break. So it really is at this point. Now, that means this might be a bearish flag for it to trigger. Okay, so let's just clone that. Okay, and the target then would be from here, but you got to watch it break first. Okay, and there's your target, and that certainly would be a nice mare's tail as an acceleration down. Okay, so watch it very carefully. If you see a break, you'll have quite a sharp fall. Now, it might even go through that 29 mark that we looked on the monthly, which is this point here. It might go straight through it. Okay, through this point, the 20. So this is 29.65, and the target is at just a touch above it. Okay, in fact, the last 30, that's around $30.10 here. You know, 29.65. So quite interesting. On the daily, again on the daily, if we look at it more closely from here, I think, like I said, your mare's tail can trigger off nicely here. Okay, there's your mare's tail. All right. So actually looking promising if you're looking on a short side. That's Woodside Petroleum. Next one is NST. Just have a drink of water. Look, we did as you can see, the last thing on the monthly looks like a potential pennant or slash flag. Hasn't broken to the upside. The truth also is that we draw this line and conservatively you trade it to there, but really it can also be along here. Okay, so you, and even higher in fact on this side, like so. So it can be along there as the more extreme, and that is a better rising wedge than what I had before. But if I wanted to be conservative, just in case there's an earlier brick wall, I would then probably put it down to there. Like so, which makes it a bit more conservative. You're not chasing as much if it breaks on the upside. And really there's nothing more this can actually give us. Oh, wrong way. That was a silly of me, wasn't it? Where did you go at the bottom? Next, what have we got? NST. There it is there. Yeah, I should have done that. My apologies. Weekly. Again, looking at it on a weekly perspective, we can see that's the previous high. And you can see it's been here for many, many weeks, and it's really just consolidating. This needs a reason to break up. Obviously now, I don't know what this Northern Star does, to be honest with you. I have no idea, but it looks like maybe they're waiting for some news or some announcements to come out. So I really can't comment any more than that. On a daily basis, again, we didn't know which way it's going to break. Okay, we have no idea, so we decided to do a target on either side, and still stands exactly the same way. No idea. That what you see is what we were looking at probably on the monthly. That looks like a pennant from here, as the pole. So again, we didn't know, but as a daily, you can see this is a triangle, not really symmetrical, but maybe as close as possible to it. But that's about it, looking to work out which way it's going to break on a daily basis. Indecision is the question, no information. TLS. Someone asked me also, and I have to apologize for some copper and nickel commodities data, if I can analyze. And the truth is I don't have the data here at the moment. I only just realized the email, so I apologize. I haven't had a chance to look up for the data. So I'll look into it and see what I can do for the following webinar. Telstra, looking at the monthly, we can see a major target was hit. It has been consolidating there for a number of months. In fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 7th month or so. Is that correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 7th month. It's been consolidating. It looks like it's trying to break up. If it does succeed to break, you have to consider that the potential failure point could be around here. Okay, but if it goes through, its target price next would be there, as long as it breaks through. So need to watch it very carefully. That's monthly, however. Let's go to weekly. On a weekly basis, this one is on just wait a sec. No matter what, it is the same thing. It's a huge broad information. Really, what we've got is consolidation, breakout point, targets being hit. The weekly can't give us any more than that, really, at the moment. No, there really isn't much on this. What we get is one target out of it. We'll go to the daily, see if there's any more. We had that, and then another breakout. Potentially, we had closing the gap. It just touched it, so I believe it's going to go higher, only because it actually is trying to close the gap. What we might see here is actually a flag, a bullish flag. This is the thing. We've got all these gaps on the banks and others, even though potentially, use the word potentially, making a head and shoulder, they all have these gaps to close. So even though the potentially it's a head and shoulder, it's still an upside market because of it. So it gives us some strength. Now, if this is a bullish flag, to me, it looks like a very good bullish flag if it breaks on the upside, and I would definitely try to trade this on the upside. I would be looking at a target around there. Now, if it gets to here, it closes the gap, but guess what also it does? And let's say it does nothing else. We did on a monthly a higher target, but if it fails and then consolidates there, and let's say the banks also consolidate there and start moving down for the head and shoulders, this effectively then becomes a huge double top. Even though that was a flag on the monthly, I'll just go to it to demonstrate that. Even though potentially this can go to $7, if it of course fails, and I said, remember, it comes up here and stops around here and fails, anything within 5% of that line, up or below, right, it really can be considered a double top, anything within 5%. And then you have a major reversal pattern also. Interesting times. Interesting times. So again, closing the gap, potential target. So as long as it comes and closes the gap, it fulfills its obligation. Next one I've been asked is BHP. Did I do this last time, or haven't I done it for a while? See, I would say if you look at this one here, look at that. You know, consolidation. I'll just move the line down from the other one. To me, that's, when you look at that, that's a double top. All right, and it's got to have a decent swing down and then back up. And if we go to around here, it's not the cleanest. So I would actually use this purple line as a consolidation. If this breaks below this, that would be its double top. And I can tell you, I would have the confidence to say down to 12, 13 bucks. If that's a double top, and I'll write the word for future prosperity. Oh, but if I actually click and I typed it, and I wasn't looking when I was typing, that was intelligence. Okay, that is basically considered. Now, let's have a look what's going in this mess here. Okay, let's clean this mess up. Oh, not clone. The wrong damn thing. Let's just get rid of all that. What are we looking at here? I just wonder, is this possible? Could it possibly be? What it also is, of course, is when you look at this and target from here, we know the brick wall's here, okay? This purple line's at 2404, 2405 is the brick wall. If that breaks that brick wall, this is a pennant, and this is going straight down to around this level, and then out of the double top, you're talking out to those levels. Not looking very good for BHP. And of course, if that's the mare's tail, then we really do have a free fall. Let's look at the weekly. Oh, what the hell is all this? Okay. What a mess. That's if this is just broken out, then I would say there's a target down on this, down to around $23. You can also, as a pattern, take it from here, okay, as a symmetrical triangle. And out of symmetrical, you can actually, extreme target is here, down to 21. I'll go to day, let's see what that tells us. The thing with this instrument, it's got gaps everywhere, so you can't really rely on gaps. This is not like the banks that we're looking at, okay? This thing is everywhere because it trades internationally. And again, it'll be the same as the weekly. It's like so, and it's like so. Okay, it's exactly the same thing. Clone. It was a potential bearish flag. Previous swing. That's its target. It got to that, reversed. It tried to retest. And if this makes a new lower low, I would say these are the targets in a bit more detail than what I did on the weekly. Our first target is like so. Your second target is like so. And of course, your third target is like so. These are your targets down. And that's BHP. Qantas. We had a bullish flag on the monthly. We've already got targets up. You can see they still stand as they are today. Nothing changes. Going to the weekly. Like so. And you would be, realistically, you got to go down to here. And you go to the highest body. And, oh, what did I do there? Sorry about that. Wrongly. Do it again. That's its target on the upside. Remember, if it's going to fail, it will fail around here, okay? It needs to break out from there. If it doesn't break out that, I'd give it a miss. I mean, you should have got in around here on the opening on that bar. If you haven't got into that, you don't chase it till it breaks through there now and closes there. On the daily, you can see that's where we had the target from that particular flag. There was a flag here that gave us this target, flag there that gives us that target. We hit that target, and look, that's where the top is, all right? That's why I said now you wouldn't chase it. That was from the last fortnights or so that we're looking at, I think. Down here, let me break out. Okay. That's Qantas. That was nice and fast, actually. FMG. FMG. Oh, I didn't do XJO, did I? I apologize. I will do XJO. After I've finished one more after this, I'll do XJO. FMG, got to do. So, FMG. Okay. Excuse me. Monthly first. That was the original target as the first target that we had. That's been hit. Now, how that was done, by the way, just to show you, then I'll remove it. There's probably more to do anyway. There to its breakout point, that's your target, basically. I'll just remove that. Look, what we've got here, from here, is that pennant. Potentially here, folks. Oh, my goodness. You actually here. This potentially go down to $1. So you need to be extra careful now. Let's look at the weekly. We still got a $1.39 target of the other one. We now have an accelerated trend, which is from here, like so. Basically, that is the next target. There's nothing else I can put on this one. And that was done some months ago. On a daily, oh, did I click on the wrong one, did I? Oh, still all right. Target here to there. I'm just doing the bigger target now, I'm not worrying about the other one. So that's telling you there's lower prices to come anyway. Yeah, lower prices to come. There's nothing really making it more, potentially all the way down to $1. IPL. Monthly. First, target's been hit. You can see the target's been hit from here already. There, and which is that? The two targets, so that's been hit. If this is a bullish flag, and I don't know if it is at the moment, because see, right across here, you can see that's the top right across. So it's previous resistance. Now, we don't know if this is potentially can be a bullish flag yet. I can only put it in and see what the outcome is, if it is up or down. There's nothing one can really do other than go into a weekly now. And as that can be seen here, there's your down target on it already. So this one's saying on the weekly potentially down to $3.28 to $3.37. But again, if we draw from up here and I clone that, okay, you understand that was the actual flag formation on the monthly, you see. Let's have a look on the monthly. See, that's that flag formation. So even if it goes down to $3 around here, it's still inside this flag formation. Okay, it can go low on the monthly and it's still considered a flag. However, on the weekly, as you can see, there it is there the way it looks, we can get down to these levels and we're still inside a flag formation on the monthly. But according to this, this has got lower prices to come on the weekly, so it's not any time soon. Now, if it goes down to these levels and it still looks good on the monthly, then potentially we can start looking at some upside. Right? But that's basically, there's nothing else you can do with it. If you look at the daily, that was the formation. We got targets down to around 348, 350, and let's see what happens from that. Okay, let's see what happens from that. If this is a top, potentially it can be, because this will then be an asymmetrical triangle, and if this breaks well and truly a lot lower, you can be looking at potentially down to 320 to 322, 327. Potentially that's what we're looking at. It's not bad because it retested this, you see, as a bearish flag here. Came as a retest. You can see there, flag down. Okay. XJO. Monthly. Oh, sorry about that. Again, you can see we're still inside that flag formation. It really doesn't give us any more than that. We're on support here. I'd say we're going to have a little bit of upside before downside. That's my opinion, but let's see. It's like those gaps we're talking about, ANZ and all those. I think it's going to have a bit of upside before down. Look, it probably won't go past its previous high. It might just go up equal to or halfway there, and close enough to make even a major double top potentially. So we'll see what happens from there. But this is not looking good overall when you look at what ANZ is, unless those potential head and shoulders fail and something else occurs. Remember, we only trade what we see, not what we think. Yes, they do look like head and shoulders, but the only time you say it is a head and shoulder when he breaks the neckline, then I can say, yep, it's a head and shoulder. Last time on the weekly, we had a flag, we had a bearish flag, we had a potential target down to here, but what we said, if you recollect, is this is major resistance. If anything, it's got to close below this point in order to say, yep, we're going lower. And guess what? It didn't do it. Okay? It didn't do it. It went below it, then recovered, it came close to our target, and then back up again. Again, when you look at this, if this formation goes out here somewhere for the next, I don't know, 3 to 7, 8 weeks, and then comes back down, you're going to get a shoulder, head, shoulder again. And this will be your neckline. Now, I don't know yet, but these are the formations. It's starting to look. If you look at this also, this trend, it's got 1 touch, 2 touches, 3 touches now. This here is also starting to look like a raising wedge. So if it does do that, you're going to have a top within a top, basically. Okay, a top within a top. Or if it comes a lot higher, close to this top, and then goes back down, breaks, then you'll have a double top. So I guess what I'm saying is I think we are at the top of the cycle now. I cannot repeat this enough. We are at the top of a cycle. We're not at the middle or near the top. We are at tops of a cycle. What normally happens is this, all right? We either consolidate and go sideways like the Dow has, okay? We go sideways for such a long time, at some point something's going to give. It's either going to say some new economic data that says, you know what, we're going to have growth for at 2, 3%, 4%, whatever, for the next 12, 18 months, and then you know what, they'll go sideways and then shoot straight up. We go to new highs. Now, unless we see that happening, or you can see that happening, great. I don't see that happening based on what's happening with politics and so forth, and record low interest rates. And the only reason they maintained this economy is by continually reducing the interest rate. Yet the US is now talking about interest rates are going to go up. So is that good news for the share market? It's usually not. Okay, so that's why I'm just reluctant to say any good news to the upside. If we look at the daily, again, it broke on the outside of this formation. This is a channel, and out of a channel, you can go click to the previous touch of the channel, to the break of the channel, and says we can go as high as this. Now, yeah, we had down for 2 days, but this is saying because we broke up, and if you draw this, allow this line to go down to here, okay, yeah, it might go a little bit more, but then potentially can reverse. So I'm betting that we're going to go a bit higher before we go low. That's what I'm saying. Now, if it does that, and then all hell breaks loose after that, means that we're going to have a right shoulder, okay, on a head and shoulder when you look at the weekly, not anything else, just the weekly. And there's more than enough data to say this is a head and shoulder after that. But you really need it at least for another probably 4 weeks to the, it's got to stay 4. 3 is a little, but may be acceptable. But if you get 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to the right shoulder, it really is a very strong head and shoulder then. Okay, and especially if it breaks to the downside. Now, that's all the shares we have an indices time for. I'm just going to do the Aussie dollar now. Yeah, it's been quite a thing with the Aussie dollar, isn't it? Now, for those that can recollect, or the ones, if you haven't as yet, if you see the previous webinar, what we said is this dashed line at the bottom is the long-term trend line, by the way. And you can see it stopped right at it. If you draw this line to the upside, these tops, and clone it and touch like so, you can see we have an intersection here and there. And where did it all stop? right on that stop. That's what I said. I don't think you're really going to see it really breaking well and truly below this, not this month anyway. If it is, maybe you'll see it next month. I don't know. But that is a pretty solid brick wall. Okay? A pretty solid. Not saying come break it. All right? We hit the target, as you can see. Let me just clean it now. Okay? Now, the truth is this a flag? I don't know at the moment. If it is, I'll just bring it down a bit more better. It has broken it, but like I always say, you only trade it to your brick walls. We are at the brick walls. Now, if you were short and you managed to get into that on a daily or weekly or intraday basis and you're still holding it, I personally would still hold it. Only because if it breaks, you're going to have one hell of a push down. All right? It'll be to new record lows, I can tell you now. Now, is it going to do it? Because this is a major trend line, it is really very hard for it to break. And usually, most times, it tends to fail first and rallies strongly back up to previous high and does something else before it breaks, if it does. Okay, so yeah, unless you see a huge reversal to the upside, by all means, I would take the risk and hold it a little bit longer. If we look at the weekly, as you can see, it really is a lot of touches down here all the way up. Okay, you can see what it's doing. It's holding that point. If this rallies and starts to move, it can have a very strong rally all the way up to even 80. All right, so that's why I say you need to watch it very, very carefully. Now, go into the daily. We can see all the daily. We are in a little channel, but it's totally locked at that spot. And what we can add to it from here is go from there, like so. All right, that's what I think it's going to probably bounce up and down, maybe on the daily part around the 75 mark. If it goes there, you're looking at 77 is the next brick wall, and if it goes there, you start looking in the 80. But it really is very hard for it to break that huge supporting trend line. All right, now I've pretty much done all this. We've covered all the requests. Keep in mind, probably the next one will be a Wednesday. And I'll keep doing a Wednesday unless something gives with my agent and says, okay, I don't need your Thursdays anymore. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to say I hope you enjoyed the webinar tonight. I hope you got some value out of it. I do wish you the very, very best, and I hope you trading works well. You can see where the formations are going now and what the possible expectations are. So please be very, very careful. This is not the time to take any ridiculous risks, okay? This is not the time. This is a time for a lot of planning here, especially if you're trading intraday. Be careful on major support lines, okay? Be careful on major support lines. Again, thank you so much for your time. I really do wish you the very best and hope to catch you on the next one. Have a great evening.